Welcome everyone to this week's installment of the Focus TV. We have Octavia Wyatt, Cardo Dudley Jr., Wilson Tarpe Jr. And look, let's get straight to it. It's season 6, episode 10 of the Focus TV. We're going to start with the Super Bowl, kind of big deal, happened this past Sunday. So Octavia, to wrap up the 22-23 season.
Yeah, so I'm gonna keep this short and sweet so I can play. uh, it's, it's been a rough couple of days for me. I'm here, but yeah, it's been tough. If you don't know by now, I don't know how you know, but the Super Bowl was this past Sunday. Kansas City defeated the Philadelphia Eagles 38-35. I mean, Patrick Mahomes 21 to 27, 182 yards, 3 touchdowns. 6 carries for 44 yards. Isaiah Pacheco had 15 carries for 76 yards and a touchdown. I mean, Travis Kelce did Travis Kelce things. 6 receptions, 81 yards, 1 touchdown. And then Kadarius Toney had one reception for 5 yards and 1 touchdown. And Sky Moore also had 1 reception for 4 yards and 1 touchdown. On the other side, Jalen Hurts was 27 to 38. 304 yards, 1 touchdown. He had 15 carries for 70 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. Devontae Smith had 7 receptions for 100 yards, and A.J. Brown had 6 receptions for 96 yards and a touchdown. I mean, as I do believe it was probably one of the better played Super Bowls that I've seen in a while. I think that both teams, like I said previously, were pretty evenly matched. And as salty as I'm trying not to be and as unbiased as I'm trying to be, I mean, I really feel like the Philadelphia Eagles kind of gave it away. They had all the momentum in the first half. Some issues, I mean, if you think about it, the fumble by Jalen in the second half, had that not happened, we might be having a different story. Now, great, of course, you can always say this happened, what if this would have happened? But even with that, they were well in hand of taking care of the game. But I mean, Andy Reid does Andy Reid things. He drew up some phenomenal plays for them. A lot of misdirection threw off the defense completely. It was probably the worst defensive game I've seen us play this year, and it just happened to be in the Super Bowl. It's funny because I kept watching all of the interviews that Travis Kelce would have, and he would say, everybody would ask him, how are you always open? Everybody knows you're going to get the ball. How are you always open? And he's like, Andy Reid. And it literally showed in the game. Kudos to Patrick Mahomes as well, coming off of that ankle injury. I really thought it was lights out after the ankle injury because I saw him in a lot of pain, and I was surprised that he was able to move as well as he was able to in the second half. And I also think that probably caught the defense for the Eagles off guard as well. I think they probably thought he wasn't going to move as well as he did. But the Kansas City Chiefs have always been, the top tier in the NFL, and they proved it again, being poised right down to the end. The one thing that I will say, even though I think the biggest, story of this is the pass interference or holding play at the end of the game on James Bradbury on Juju Smith-Schuster. Those are the things that happen in games. I mean, had it gone the other way and not been called, yeah, I would have been happy. But had that been my team and it hadn't been called, I would be upset. So, you got to play the game, and the refs got to call the calls that need to be called. And I mean, I even respect James Bradbury coming down and saying, yeah, I did pull them. I did hold them. I thought they would let it go, but they didn't. So I appreciate, I kudos him because people don't really admit when they do stuff like that. They want to, tell everybody like, no, it didn't happen, terrible call. So I give him props for that, but it just so happened that it happened in a bad situation, probably the worst situation ever. And then give Kansas City, props with the knowledge of knowing not to score because they tried to let him score at the end, and he literally got down right on the 1 yard line, and you can't beat the clock. So I do think that Jalen Hurts had a really, really good game. I think it showed how well of a player he is. And also when we talk about the black quarterbacks on this level, and we talk about that, you got to be able to pass the ball. Yes, he was able to pass the ball, but you can see that his rushing ability is top tier. I mean, I think he's the only quarterback in the Super Bowl to throw for a touchdown and run for a touchdown in the same game. So I think they have a lot of good things to work on. Kansas City, I mean, it's kind of crazy because nobody really thought this year that they would get back to the Super Bowl just with losing Tyreek and everything like that. And to see them pull it together with what they did, it's kind of scary because they can do it again next year. And then on the Eagles side, it's going to be a lot of I don't know if it's going to be a lot of turnover, but it's going to be a good amount of turnover. There's a lot of people that you got to try to re-sign. There are a lot of people that you got to think about are going to retire or not. I know Jason Kelsey is a candidate possibly retiring. Who knows what Fletch and Brandon Graham are going to do? I think Brandon Graham might stay, but I'm more so leaning towards like Fletch and Jason Kelsey maybe hanging it up. But and then also both of our coordinators have been hired as head coaches in different teams, so having to start over, not start over, but having to name new offensive and defensive coordinators is always going to be a task for the head coach as well. So I mean, I'm looking forward to next year. I'm glad it's over. I've been sulking the last couple of days. I haven't watched ESPN at all because I just don't. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to talk about it. But it is what it is. Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs, and probably in a week or so, I'll be ready to see what happens next year.
I think that's more than fair. Cardell, you had any final thoughts on the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I knew the Eagles were done when I saw Fletcher with the blouses on. I knew that one was over, man. But nah, in all seriousness, that I'm tired of people just picking things to just complain about, man. The ref did their job. He held.
Yeah.
He held. Suck that shit up. You know, like he held, man. Like if he did make the call and that was your team, like Octavia said, you would be pissed. Like, yo, how you didn't see that call? But then on the flip side, that he did make that call. The obviously the team that it doesn't benefit the fans or whatever, they'd be mad about that. He admitted it was clear as day. It was clear as day. He got beat, and and that's a result of him being undisciplined defensively. Like a lot of DBs said, like, dog, just stay on the outside shoulder. Worst case scenario, if he tried to come back, he catch the ball, you could tackle him. That's worst case scenario. But by you trying to jump inside and then he went back outside, you were done. And that was fear because he knew what was coming. Mahomes would have definitely found him, and that's a long potential run. You know, and that wasn't it. It never comes down to one play to decide the game. That was just allowed us since it was the last big play at the end. What about the punt return?
Yeah.
On special teams, that hurt big time. That like, and I'm
Special
looking at.
all year.
Go ahead. You said what?
No, I'm just like,
Yeah,
I'm
that
agreeing.
like,
Yeah, they've been an issue all year, so it finally caught up
right.
to them in the right time.
And last week when we talked about it, obviously I see these fools a lot. I said the Eagles want to score. And Hurts did a good job, but when I mean score, they had to get in the 40s. That's what I was thinking about. Like they're gonna have to put the ball up. Because I'm looking at the final stats. Y'all had 72 plays that the Eagles did to the Chiefs 53. Like it wasn't even close as far as time or possession, plays, and all that. Every advantage was damn near in the Eagles' favor. Yet that boy Mahomes found a way in the second half to go off and find a way to win. And the third thing that really jumped out, the man had a bad ankle, pocket collapsing. He runs up the middle and could nobody catch it for about 19 yards on a bad ankle. That's why I'm like the Eagles in trouble. They really in trouble because now think about that shock right there. We can't even get to this man on a bad wheel and stuff like that. We can't guard Kelsey. We can't guard their wide receivers. What are we doing? So he did what he do. He was surgical, masterful in the second half, and they pulled it out. And Andy Reid, look, he deserves a lot of credit, but man, what Eric Bieniemy got to do, dog? Like, how the two coordinators from the losing team get jobs for my man? Like, dog, you can't make this stuff up, man. That's a whole nother conversation, but just another day in the NFL, man. I try to. It's hard to rock with the NFL like I used to, man, because it's just blatant. Like they don't even hide it. How you gonna go to the losing team and get their coordinators, but don't go to the winning team that's done this, been there, done that. That's designing and orchestrating everything behind the scenes. Like you just can't make this up, man. But look, it was a great game. Look, Jalen Hurts, man, y'all got y'all franchise quarterback for a long time. Wrap his ass up. Don't be stupid like the Ravens and play with fire. Yeah, don't play with fire. Lock him up with whatever he need, and he's the guy. And I'm happy for him, man, because he done been through it, and that's what he's the poster child of just believing in yourself, not even saying much, and just standing strong, and proving yourself right more so than proving people wrong, man. Because now everybody looking at Nick Saban like, "What's up, dog?" Eric from Nick Saban to the Eagles themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like to the draft gurus who said he won last after his first year, instead of giving the dude time to actually adjust to the NFL game and actually get him some weapons to build around him. You see where it got him, man. So, like Octavia said, the Eagles, they got some work to do as far as filling out their roster, you know, seeing who's going to stay, who's going to go, and all that. And the good news is in the NFC East, so it don't take much tinkering to stay at the top of that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it is what it is. Meanwhile, you got to deal with this fool. I need Russ to step up. We need to get some defenders, some more defenders. Because look, Russ got 3 games, dog. If he looking like last year, he got to go. He got 3 games. Like the room for the air is not there no more, man. Because we got to deal with him, and he ain't going nowhere for a long time.
Yeah, that's what it was like. It was deja vu for me at the end of the first half. Eagles are driving down, and we like you talked about how many more plays they ran. They took the time of possession thing against most people. There's nothing wrong with that line of thought. When I think it was 12 seconds left, they ran the final play, and clearly it was, you know, the kids told, take the check down immediately, take some yards, we're going to take the field goal, what have you. I think I was talking to somebody, I was watching the game, but I was like, you got to take a shot. It's Kansas City. You have to take a shot here. Threes don't mean anything to them. They don't even matter. Against other teams, threes are great. Like, they actually matter. To them, they're like, you kicked the field goal. What's that? They don't know what those are until they have to do it. And that was just a moment which I felt like, honestly, for me, I was kind of like the OC that just got hired. Bless him. Shout out to him for the new job. What have you, Indianapolis Colts, y'all hired real funny. What are you doing? Because what are you doing? I get playing kind of scared if the kid wasn't on fire. The kid was on fire. Take the shot. They showed they had no answer for A.J. Brown, even when they had the right play call. Take the shot. And it was the first thing that triggered. I was like, oh, yeah. I remember we took the shot, but I think it was OPI on George, but the shot was taken. And they played to take the 3, and I'm like, you can't play about 3s against them. They play a totally different game. They get to the second half. Eric Bieniemy, you know, he got the whole first half. So what Mr. Gannon was, I think that's his name, Gannon, defense coordinator, was doing. The new head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. Bless your heart. Welcome to our division. Buddy, can't wait to see you. Hassan Reddick and them aren't coming with you. Did you think that was just going to hold up without adjusting? Like, there going to be no adjustments? They came out, they adjusted, and they scored on every drive in the second half. So all that ball control stuff, which is why, you know what I'm saying? Like, ball control works against other teams that aren't that. They don't play, they play differently. Like, and that's the weird part, because you saw Eagles be uber aggressive on 4th down at other times. Then I think late in the game is 4th and 2, and I think they went for it. I know they didn't go for it. And I'm like, well, that's backwards now. Like, now you definitely got to, because you haven't stopped them. You're probably not stopping them again today. Like, I know what that was like to see them get rolling. Deja vu. But again, like Octavia said, the Jalen Hurts story, and clearly the NFL learns very slow, because y'all about to do this again with this next crop. I guarantee you, you're not even going to waste any time. The kid played a hell of a game. There's nothing to say bad about Jalen Hurts in this game, or from Patrick Mahomes. And all you saw was difference between, Fat Man's been here before. That's it. Andy and company been there before. Bieniemy, they've been there before. Yeah. So what they did, think about what they did. They took that was the ball control version of the Chiefs, because they don't have the explosive stuff. This was the reset year, and they want to chip off the reset year. Yet the OC can't get hired. Y'all are special. Meanwhile, I see Roman, who just got fired, is out here getting hired. People just like recycling things. It literally makes no sense. Like I was saying, Octavia, before we started the show, Bobby Slowick off the Niners staff, bless his heart, he didn't do anything. This is not a stray. Just another example how the NFL goes about hiring. Bobby Slowick is, I think, an assistant pass game coordinator on the Niners this year. That is not an offensive coordinator position. Correct? Cool. He just got his first crack at offense coordinator on D'Amico's staff, which I'm not going to knock. That's what D'Amico chose, whatever, familiarity, what have you. Cool. But how can so many people get their first crack at things? This dude just went. He's running offense. We're talking about what Pat's done in 5 years. Guess who's been there the whole time? Give Pat his credit, of course, and we're going to give Fat Man his credit. Give the enemy his credit. This just isn't hard. We give other coordinators less credit. Like, I'm watching a whole bunch of dudes that come in. Kyle's coming to Team Urban for their building. I'm not saying they don't do a lot, but I know they don't call plays. They're not allowed to. For the most part, your assistants, kudos to you doing your job. It's a part of going through the ranks. You got to pay your dues. Cool. But how come you could go an assistant here and be looked at higher than someone who is a 2-time Super Bowl champion offense coordinator? It's backwards. Like Cardell said, it's not. They're not even making it. It's overtly blatant, and it's just sloppy. And then some of these teams like Arizona, I can't wait to check back in 3 years and see who they're going to be hiring next.
You know what I think is going to happen for the enemy? Andy Reid's going to retire the next couple years, and he's going to inherit that monster. And he's going to destroy the league. And then he's going to be looking at everybody like, oh, man, he's a genius, man. What? And we just going to be sitting back, just shaking our heads, man. I think that's what's going to happen.
No, I'm with you. And the saddest part is, it would make sense to me. I would hire him just to break that up. Like, let's just see. Let's test something out. Coaches get hired and fired all the time, but you come here. Leave that building, please, sir. Please leave that building.
Please.
Just you come here. Hey, look, I don't know what's wrong with these coaches and all these bad defenses out here. Some of y'all need to go rescue Steve Spagnuolo because he has a home in Kansas City. They had nothing but kids in the back end of that defense this year. They just won a Super Bowl. What y'all out here doing? But again, shout out to the Chiefs and hell of a year from the Eagles.
So, before you go, guys showed Devontae Smith some love too.
Oh yeah.
Because I remember when he was coming out, they were saying he's too small to thrive in the NFL. And look, first part of that game, it looked like old NFL. They was blasting dudes. Dudes was getting smacked out here, dog. And on the Chiefs side, Isaiah Pacheco, 7th round pick. See, that's what good organizations do. 7th round pick, and he was getting it in. Like, he gave the Eagles fits, man. Run hard, every play. Even the broadcast is like, I don't know how long this is going to last for his career, but he runs hard. Bro, when you a 7th round pick, I think that's motivation enough, man. Like, I'm going to run hard. I'm trying to stick, you know what I mean? But he balled in the biggest game of his life, man. And he kept the chains moving. He blocked well. He kept them boys off of he kept the Eagles off of Mahomes. It was just that's why they are who they are, Super Bowl champs, man. They just plug guys in, key guys roll, they plug key guys in, and here they are. They back, man. And like I said, that's a sign of just not just evaluating players properly, but a great staff all around, man. You can't knock nothing they did, man. And it hurts to say that. My Broncos the last few years have done everything you can to just F up a franchise, and they've done everything right, man. And all you can do is tip your hat to them, man. So, we know what it is up close, so we need to maybe, duplicate some of the things they're doing, so we can get back in that mix. But overall in the Super Bowl, man, it was a great show. Like, for real, they went at it, man.
Yes, sir. And my final thing, I'll just say, folks need to go ahead and give Nick Sirianni some credit because for whatever reason he was snubbed in the Coach of the Year voting, which made no sense. Typically, your team's one of the best in the league. You're usually on the ballot. And good start to his young career for sure. I'm interested to see how they go about filling some of those OC and DC slots because, that's the other part of being a successful staff. Unless you have unless members of your coordinator staff look different, then they get to stay there. They got job security. Otherwise, usually there's a lot of turnover. So we'll see how that goes.
But no, that's funny because I told you that I think that the top names that could be elevated as coordinators for the Eagles are all black. Well, not all. There's like one. I think he's like a linebacker coach for the Eagles. His name is in there too. But the quarterback coach for the Eagles is Brian Johnson. He's black, and there was one that's actually from Upper Marlboro, Denard Wilson. he's possibly could be elevated. So we could have all black coordinators, and maybe, who knows, they'll stick around a while too.
Not because they did bad at their job, just because they did good. NFL logic, right? NFL logic, because that makes sense. Like, don't actually hold on. You know what? Another time. It's okay. Another day, another time. I'm gonna leave that alone. All right, on to the Wizards. The Wizards going 2-1 since last week's show. They won back-to-back games at home against Charlotte, 118-104, and then Indiana. They've been moving the ball well, knocking down open shots. There's even been a few stretches of good defense sprinkled in during those games. Washington shot the leather off the ball in a 127-113 win over Indiana, to the degree where they shot about 70% in the first half. It was crazy. It was they put on a show. They shot 70% and scored 80 points in the first half. It was disgusting to watch if you appreciate defense, but they put it on an offensive show. Monday night, however, we're taking this Tuesday, so last night, they took on Golden State. They faced Golden State on the road, and the first quarter looked similar to how their first quarter looked against the Pacers. Things were going well. They were moving the ball well. KP got going. Brad got going. Everyone was hitting open shots. But there's a little bit of a difference between the Pacers and the Warriors. The Warriors, obviously don't have Steph, but they responded with a 42-point second quarter and took that 15-point lead the Wizards had, made it disappear. Then the third quarter started, and by the end of the third, midway through the third, Golden State had pushed the lead to 20. Then Washington closed the quarter strong. I think it was like just a quick 7-0 run to close the quarter. Then they started the fourth quarter with an 11-0 run. So it was a game for much of the fourth quarter. Beal and Porzingis scored 30-plus apiece. The Warriors just got a little bit – the Warriors executed down the stretch. They played more defense down the stretch, and they got some key plays from their guys off the bench. And we saw the resurgence of Andrew Wiggins, which was huge last night. It's been a tough year for him, been injured a bit, never really been in the flow to catch his rhythm and whatnot. Again, unfortunately, that's the last night was his outlook. Washington sometimes ends up being people's get-right teams. And Wiggins looked like the guy that was the guy next to the guy during the championship run last year. And Golden State needed every bit of it. But for Washington, they still ended up shooting 60% from the floor in that game. 60% from the floor. But you ended up getting in a shootout with the Warriors, which, it's things you don't want to do. Like, there's playing fast and there's playing Golden State fast. Don't try to out Golden State at Golden State things. And also big in that game was just Kevon Looney hitting the glass. Offensive rebounds, you play the Warriors, you give them extra chances. Typically that tends to hurt you. Big night from Dante DiVincenzo as well. Up next for Washington, they play Portland tonight, then Minnesota on Thursday, then All-Star break. So everyone have a little bit of a time off that we get back to the second half of the NBA season, which things should ramp up and get kind of interesting, especially in the East. But for Washington, last night was definitely a missed opportunity to take a step closer to reaching 500. They remain 3 games under 500 heading into tonight's game against Portland. That's it. We're going to take our first break. When we get back, we'll be talking some college basketball. You're watching the Focus TV. Welcome back to the Focus TV. Cardell, the floor is yours to start the college basketball segment.
Yeah, man, a couple games. Got to start on GW side, of course. They made a trip up to St. Joe's. Remember, not too long ago, about 2.5 weeks ago, they beat St. Joe's at home. They got out to a quick start, a strong start in that one, and just pretty much held on as the game went along. Well, the roles were reversed this past weekend. GW fell behind 16-1 within the first 4 minutes of the game against St. Joseph, and they weren't ever able to get closer than 8 points for the remainder of the game. They ultimately fell 81-69. Now, St. John's shot 52% in the first half and led by as many as 22 while taking a 47-27 advantage into the half. The Colonials were called for a season-high 27 fouls on the day as St. Joe's made 23 of 33 at the charity stripe, both the most for an opponent this season for GW. GW shooting was subpar. They only shot 38% from the field, 5 of 20 from beyond the arc. And that pretty much was the game. They couldn't make shots and they couldn't stop. They couldn't defend St. Joe's, as you could tell by all the foul calls that were, called on them. Some were ticky-tack, but for the most part, they were guarded with their hands. And, it just, the floodgates open. And honestly, in the GW's win here over St. Joe's 2.5 weeks ago, the guards got going late in that game, and GW had trouble defending them then. So it was just pretty much a carryover from that. I'm pretty sure the staff for St. Joe's watched the tape and just pretty much told their guards be extra aggressive. And they had success in this game. Brandon Adams led the Colonials with 15 points and 4 assists. James Bishop and Ricky Lindo Jr. provided 13 apiece, while Max Edwards and 100 each added 11 points. Local product Eric Reynolds II led the Hawks with 24 points, while Len Greer III added 22, including 11 to 18 from the free throw line. GW will now return home to face George Mason tomorrow. I'll be in the building, and they will look for a season sweep over, their crosstown rival. Tip is scheduled for 7 p.m. The game will air on NBC Sports. And also this weekend, went up to UMBC for a big American East battle. At the time, UMBC was they were in the 5th spot in the conference, but only like a game behind the 3rd spot in the conference. And Bryant was in the 3rd spot. So it was a big game where one of these teams could possibly go on a run and win a conference championship and go to the tournament. So just wanted to see what they would look like up close when they battle. And it was a very entertaining game, but ultimately UMBC, their balanced attack was just too much. They actually withstood 39 points, a career high from Sharif Gross-Bullock to take down Bryant. 4 retrievers scored in double figures, led by reserve forward Trayvon Fagan, who posted a team high 18 points. He gave UMBC the lift they needed to hold off truly an unconscious Sharif Gross-Bullock and a feisty Bryant team 76-73. In a back and forth affair that saw UMBC maintain control for the majority of the game, determined Gross-Bullock would nearly will Bryant to a road victory. Gross-Bullock, he led up the scoreboard with 25 points in the second half. Ultimately finished with a career high 39 points, so 13 to 22 shooting from the field and 6 to 9 from 3-point range. Led by Fagan, UMBC, and the inside-outside player forwards Yao Ming Mensa and Jarvis Doles, as well as the time shooting Jacob Williamson. They were able to ride out the scoring barrage from Gross-Bullock and claim a hard-fought conference victory. Fagan added 6 rebounds and 2 blocks to his team high 18 points. He shot 79 from the field. Craig Boudion II, the UMBC's point guard, who played a great floor game. One thing Brian does, they start the game out in the 2-3 zone, and then they'll hit you with a press, and then fall back in that 2-3 zone. And it usually gives teams problems because they have some quick players with size up front as far as on the perimeter, and that's how they get you. They get you sped up, you turning the ball over, and then they get going. As you can see, they got guys that can score the ball, so if you give them extra possessions, they can get ugly quick, and that's how they overwhelm. But Craig Boudion, he handled that pressure outstanding. Like, it didn't even faze him. He posted 15 points, a game-high 8 assists on 5-9 shooting, and only committed 1 turnover for the game. And Jacob Williamson added 13 points of 3 of 6 shooting, and Yao Ming Mensa finished with 12 points and 6 rebounds to pace in UMBC. Earl Timberlake finished with a double-double with 13 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 assists before fouling out, while Antoine Walker contributed 8 points and 6 rebounds on 4 or 5 shooting from the field to help lead Bryant. Also, free throw shooting and turnovers played a huge role in UMBC holding on to claim victory over Bryant. For the game, UMBC shot 77%, 14 to 18 from the line, while Bryant struggled, especially down the stretch, converted 63% for the other free throws, 14 to 22. Over the final 3:20 of the game, UMBC, with UMBC on top by 1, 69-68, the retrievers shot 8 of 10 from the line, while Bryant shot 3 of 6 down for the remainder of the game. Making matters worse, Bryant turned the ball over 14 times, with 7 of those turnovers coming from Sharif Gross-Bullock and Earl Timberlake, their primary ball handlers. UMBC capitalized by scoring 17 points off those turnovers. So, look, it was a narrow victory, but it came down to the little things that a lot of people kind of ignore. If Bryant didn't commit those turnovers or whatnot, they could have very easily won this game, especially with Gross Bullock going off the way he did. But nonetheless, they did, and Brian held on for the victory.
All right, on to College Park. The Terps took down Northwestern last week on the road, 79-54. They took control in the second quarter in that one. Outstanding defense. They won the second period 18-2. Diamond Miller led the way with 14 points, while freshman Bree McDaniel had a career high 14 points. Going to talk about McDaniel a little bit later, but I think I mentioned her last week. So just coming on a little bit as a freshman, fulfilling her role of embracing, trying to be a defensive stopper, which is great to see because, again, she was highly touted as an offensive player in high school. So it's good to see her earn her minutes on the defensive end. And she brings she's 5'10", strong as hell, long arms, moves her feet very well. She was just a breath of fresh air. We're going to talk about it a little bit in her second game of the week. But she got to play in front of her home crowd a little bit. Family got to come out and see her. So it's not a bad thing. Have your career high your freshman year in front of your family. Maryland came home to host Illinois. On Sunday, they celebrated the senior class of Eliza Pinzan, Faith Masonis, Abby Myers, and Diamond Miller. Shout out to the Illini, though. They played 3 guards, 2 bigs. The 3 guards, they're all like between 5'6", 5'8", 5'9". They came out in, I think, their first 12 made shots in the game, 9 of them were from beyond the arc. So Maryland came out, they were in zone, and Maryland was they were a bit detached. They're giving them a whole lot of airspace while they were playing zone. And Illinois did a good job of not turning the ball over, or at least when they did, it wasn't live ball turnovers. So Maryland couldn't kid out and run and make them pay for it. At the half, Maryland was down 37-28. They responded a big way in the third quarter. And it started with their defense. Both Cheyenne Sellers and Bree McDaniel, they were at the head of the press, and they just raised hell. There's not another way to describe it. They got in there. They forced, as a team, 10 turnovers in the third quarter. They won the third quarter 31-8, and it was all off of just off their defense. And it was simply as Brennan said in the first half, they saw on tape while game playing for Illinois that they struggle with zone a little bit. But if your defenders aren't closing out and giving up airspace, shooter's gonna knock you out. They're gonna shoot. They're gonna make you pay. So she switched to man in the second half. They took the airspace away. And while Maryland doesn't have size in terms of post players, they have a lot of long guards. And for a team like Illinois, they were missing their starting point guard. I told you the size of the guards that they had on the floor. Maryland's guards, the size and length that they have, the athleticism, when they're trapping and just taking away the airspace, it led to all types of problems. But Illinois kept fighting. They just came up short late. For Maryland, it was good. They only won one quarter, but they won it 31-8 is huge. If you're gonna only win one quarter, that's not a bad way to win it. Because for a while there, it looked like they were gonna, senior day wasn't gonna end in the right way or on a high note. All in all, Maryland forced 24 turnovers, and they were perfect from the line on their 18 free throw attempts. Diamond Miller led all scorers with 31 points. Abby Myers added 18. Cheyenne Sellers had 13. Up next, Maryland faces Michigan State on Saturday. Then they come home to host 7th-ranked Iowa on Monday night. Then they finish the regular season on the road against 13th-ranked Ohio State. So they got 2 more ranked teams, one of them being the top 10 team in Iowa. We know Iowa beat them in their place a couple weeks ago. Not exactly the easiest way to end the regular season, but they have some ground to make up because they're still behind Iowa and I believe Indiana in the Big Ten play. We're going to take our second break. When we get back, a couple updates on WNBA free agency. They had a 4-team trade. Every week, it seems like something else happens. Then we'll get into rapid fire. We'll see what Cardell has for us. But you're watching the Focus TV. We'll return shortly. Welcome back to the Focus TV. Like we said, a little bit of WNBA free agency news. This one's interesting. So Atlanta traded Tiffany Hayes to Connecticut for the 6th overall pick in this year's draft. Interested to see what, Connecticut's one of those teams where people have migrated out. They've had some changes. You had Jonquel leave. Bree Jones is still there. AT is still there. You add Tiffany Hayes, not a bad thing at all. It cost you the 6th overall pick. So for Atlanta, 6th overall pick's not a bad thing to have. We know from the last couple weeks, you guys remember, Alicia Gray's now in Atlanta with Ryan Howard. But the 4-team deal, and I'm going to try to go through this as slow as possible so I don't confuse myself. All right. So we had Dallas trading Marina Mabry to Chicago in a sign-and trade. Step 1. New York trades Michaela Onyenwere to Phoenix. 2. Phoenix trades Diamond DeShields to Dallas and a pick swap in 2025, a first-round pick along with a 2024 second-round pick. Chicago trades the 5th overall pick of this year's draft, a 2024 first-round pick, and a pick swap in 25 to Dallas. Right. Again, a whole lot going on. Chicago also sends a 2024 third and a 2025 second to Phoenix for the rights to Leonie Fibic, and then a 2024 second-round pick to New York. A lot to unpack here, but the biggest thing, obviously, we see the players that are moving. That puts Dallas in a position in the 2025 draft, depending on who's choosing to come out. That's a big draft. They don't have any first-round picks as of right now. Yeah.
We got it seems like some teams are, I'm not going to say rebuilding and retooling. They lost some heavy hitters, and then other teams are trying to fill in the pieces to kind of maintain. You kind of see that with Connecticut and Atlanta. Connecticut, that's hard because the standard for women basketball is so high out there. If you don't have a team, you ain't going to get people in those stands at all. So they're going to make that trip down to New York and find something better to do. Watch Jonquel and Stewie, especially with Stewie being a UConn alum, and call it a day.
Train right away.
So they got to have something of a team, something. The whole Atlanta, obviously they're going young, trying to get more explosive and build around Ryan Howard as they should. Dallas, man, are they building around Subali? I know they still got what's my girl name?
Arike.
Yeah, they still got Arike. Okay, so that.
Give me 1 second. I got to help you out. So right now, what is that? It's Arike, Satu, Tierra McCowan, Natasha Howard's there, Diamond DeShields.
All right, so they got a mile. They trying to go for it. Okay. They got, and then Phoenix. Who's the big that went to Phoenix?
Give me 1 second. I got you. You said the big in that deal that went.
A forward.
Oh, Michaela Onyenwere.
Yeah. So that's the help relieve Griner. You know what I'm saying? She getting foul trouble and stuff like that. I get that. It's like now, because of what happened with the Liberty and Aces, man, it's like an arms race. If you ain't got nuclear bomb, you one of them unicorns, you don't have a shot. So it's either you're gonna rebuild or you're gonna try to fill in some holes to go for it. And you kind of see that with certain teams. Like right now, you can only look at 5 teams that really got a shot, and it's 12 teams. So that's what I'm saying. And they already trying to get ahead for the future as far as getting draft picks, so they can start reloading as they go along. So it'd be interesting to see how it goes, man.
All right. Octavia, if you had any thoughts on the trade. It was a lot, so I apologize.
Just like y'all said, it's just that's a lot to decipher. So yeah, I'm just interested to see how it works out.
We'll find out soon. The WNBA season is sneaking up little by little as the days go by. All right, Cardell, what you got for us in rapid fire this week?
So start on the NFL side. AJ Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster. You were on your way out until Mahomes saved your career. Chiefs wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster tried to have a little fun today with the Eagles quarterback James Bradbury, whose holding penalty clinched the Super Bowl for the Chiefs. Eagles receiver A.J. Brown didn't find it funny. It started with Smith-Schuster posting a Twitter Valentine with Bradbury's face on reading, "I'll hold you when it matters most." It was an amusing joke from Smith-Schuster, but Smith-Schuster may have wished he set this one out after Brown unloaded on him. Brown said, "First off, congratulations, y'all deserve it. But this is lame. You was on your way out of the league before Mahomes resurrected your career on your 1-year deal. TikTok boy, he admitted that he grabbed you, but don't act like you're like that or ever was. But congratulations again." I'll tell you, just your thoughts overall.
I mean, I'm not surprised. Well, I'll say this. I'm not surprised at Juju Smith-Schuster because that's the type of stuff that he does. I'm a little bit surprised at AJ because he usually doesn't respond to nonsense. So I feel like it probably really hit a nerve. It's like it's one of those times it's like, all right, too soon. Like, all right, bro, we get it. Like, cool. But yeah, I don't have no issues with it because Juju can't beat up AJ, so I don't really care. It ain't like he could beat him up. You can't beat me, so I mean, whatever. Beat me up. I mean, he beat him in the game. Congratulations, yes. And I like that he started off by saying congratulations, like not sounding salty, but just like, hey, bro, like chill, like, because I mean, he ain't tell no lies. Like, Juju was on his way out the league, to be honest. So it is what it is. I mean, it's all fun and games now, but like I said, it's probably just a little too soon. Like it was just like 2 days ago. Like give it. Like if he had did this like in the summertime, now granted I get it with Valentine's Day is how it all started, but yeah, he should relax a little bit, just a tad bit.
Wilson.
It's funny because players that like this postseason have been on social media way too much.
Yeah.
All I would say to AJ Brown is your best friend, your dog, leading up to the Super Bowl. Okay, so you came to the defense of James Bradbury in this case. Cool, I have no issue. It's not a problem. Your best friend, your road dog, Deebo Samuel, unloaded on James Bradbury, just called the man trash straight out. Clip goes viral. Nothing was said. That's all I add, same energy both times. But again, maybe you just feel like Deebo's Deebo and not Juju. I don't know. I just find it all funny.
I would just say that maybe it was because like the season was still going on, you know, and they was trying to focus. Maybe why he didn't respond to Deebo. But no, like you said, definitely keep that same energy. But that's just my only thing. Because like I said, AJ don't usually get into stuff like that. Like even I follow him on social media. Like all his stuff is like uplifting and you know like centered around Jesus and stuff like that. So like he don't usually get into like Twitter squabbles I've ever really seen. So I was a little surprised.
I mean, I'm not in the Super Bowl. You poking fun at one of my teammates, you know what I'm saying? Like,
so like the season over now.
I'm gonna get at you, dog. And yeah, and I agree with you. I'll say I think like they were gearing up for the Super Bowl, so no distractions. I'm not Deebo, my dog, but right now you at home watching. You a fan, so fuck what you talking about. But we lost a heartbreak. We lost in heartbreaking fashion. It's gonna sting forever, honestly.
Yeah.
And here you are throwing jabs. It's like, hold on, player. Like, hold on. Like, chill out. You know what I'm saying? And truth be told, you should throw stones if you live in a glass house. He's right. You was on your way out the league. And you know, smartly, you went to the Chiefs. You went to a quarterback where if you had anything left in the tank, he'll bring it out of you. So, but yeah, I wouldn't have did that if I was him. I know he like to do that stuff, man. I like, look, man, people just gotta be more aware of what they're doing with how they say shit, man. Because like I said, once you hit that tweet button or that send button, or you know what I'm saying, once you hit it and it's out there, you fair game. I don't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it is what it is. Moving forward, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you know, he had a great career. That obviously has him in the greatest all-time conversation. 6-time champion, 6 MVPs, 15-time All-Star, 2-time scoring champ, 11-time All-Defensive team, and an iconic shot, the skyhook. Yet, Abdul-Jabbar said when he watches Giannis Antetokounmpo play, he gets a little jealous. He said, I sort of like to do some of the things that he does. Speaking a couple of days after the scoring record failed, you get the rebound, you better not try to take it down to the other end of the court if you're a frontline player. Back when he played, that was like gospel when I played. Giannis is going through all of that and open the game up. So I'm happy he's done that, but I'm annoyed that wasn't in time for me to try to get in on the fun. Giannis said that he was lucky that his coaches always encouraged him to bring the ball up the court, which makes sense. It doesn't take a highly trained basketball to see he's an unstoppable force in transition. Then he marveled at the idea of Abdul-Jabbar in that role. Quote, obviously, Kareem could bring the ball down the floor and create for himself and get people to go out the way or ask for a pick and roll. He probably had 52,000 points. It would take LeBron 8 more years to break that record, Giannis said. I can't imagine Kareem bringing it up. I'm sure he probably could. He did everything else. Bucks coach Mike Budenholzer said when asked about this evolution in the sport. I don't know when the evolution started, but certainly Giannis is just incredibly unique, I think, to this league right now. Just Wilson, what do you think about Jabbar kind of wishing he had the freedom to do what Giannis and a lot of bigs are doing now when he played?
I love how he said it. Just period. Like, I think, one, I love that he brought it up. Two, I love that he said it. Three, I love that Giannis is like, yeah, I can see it. Also, that 52,000 more point thing was hilarious. Giannis, the jokes is better than the dad jokes he has. Yeah, like for Giannis, it was perfect time for him to hit the league, considering how many, how wide open it is, how many rule changes, freedom of movement, all that stuff. Like it's years in between the times that they played, right? But yeah, I'm not mad at Kareem saying that. I'm perfectly fine with it. Like I know sometimes one of the good things some folks are using with technology now is going up and brightening up some of the old clips from some of the folks back in the day. We could really see clearly there were just as many freaks back then as now. So yeah, I love that this was brought up. I love every fact, every part of it.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, I love it too. And it's facts, honestly. Like I'm sure he wishes there was a thing called a point forward back then. Because I could see it too. And also, like you said, Wilson, I like the fact that Giannis acknowledged it and didn't do the whole, our time versus their time thing and all, that type of stuff that some players do. Paying, respect as they should. But yeah, that would have been crazy if you could imagine him bringing the ball up and, being able to go end to end, running a fast break would be wild to see him do. So I like the conversation. I think it's, something interesting really to think about because before you brought this up, like I would have never thought about it. But for him to actually, come out and say that that's something that he wishes he could do, I'm sure that's something we all wish we could have saw as well.
Yeah, it just go back to the stance I always have about old time players. Is like just because they didn't do it don't mean they couldn't.
Right.
They weren't allowed to. Like for one, they were like all the evolution of 3-pointer and stuff. They kind of use that as a benchmark for being more skilled, where there was no 3-point line back in the day. But those players were hitting shots from that range. You see what I'm saying? So you have to take that into consideration. And the thing is, like Jabbar, I have clips here, especially with his Bucks days, when he would get it on 3-point line and cross dudes up, pull up for a mid-range jumper. It was in his game, but he just couldn't get carried away with it. Like you said, coaches would have been yelling down on, man, come on, man, get the ball on the big O, magic, man, get down on the block and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And it's hard to argue. He had a lot of success with that. But Giannis, to me, the big that really, I'm talking about true big, not like a Magic Johnson big. I'm talking about the real, like, forward, 6'11", 7 foot dude that could do it. Truthfully, all the time was KG when he came in the league. Dream did it more so in the half court. But KG came out the gate getting the ball, bringing it up, playing like a point center row. And then next thing you know, you saw C. Webb doing it. You saw Rasheed doing it. Dirk came over here with Bob handling the rock, getting into his jumper. Duncan started doing it. You just saw all these power forwards starting to do it like they could push the rock. You know what I'm saying? To the point where I remember KG in the finals, his MVP, not the finals, the Western Conference finals MVP year, Sam Cassell was hurt and Troy Hudson was hurt. He ran point guard in that series. And people don't even remember that. Like, he was the point guard in that. And he literally was playing all 5 positions on both ends. It was crazy, man. That's why he's my second favorite player all time, because he was literally all positions in one dude. He don't get the credit for it. So now Giannis, it allows Giannis to be more free because of what they did. Hell, what was the 2004, man? Damn near 20 years ago. So, look, man, it's great to see, man. Giannis the best player in the game to me. My favorite player to watch, man. So yeah, it just shows you that the ball never like, man, if I could have did that, oh man, like you know what I'm saying, like had the center on the island going full court, it would open this game up that much more, man. So I enjoy that he's giving them props as well, but people also got to remember that, like I said, just because they didn't do it, don't mean they couldn't. Like Patrick Ewing in college, he didn't shoot a lot of jumpers, but he was automatic in the league with that jumper. He didn't miss nothing mid range. You know what I'm saying? But Big John's like, no, get your big ass in the block in the paint and do what you do, and it worked. He became number one pick, right? So it is what it is. Next question. This is something actually I agree with, and I got to apologize to him. James Harden. He said he not surprised Irving Durant left Nets. He said there was a lot of dysfunction. But when James Harden forced his way out of Brooklyn a year ago, there was a narrative that he better get it right in Philadelphia. His legacy is on the line after leaving Kevin and Kyrie. A year later, after Durant and Irving had forced their way out of Brooklyn, Harden looks smart. And he's not surprised Durant and Irving following him out of Brooklyn. Of course, I didn't just ask to leave for no reason. Harden said Saturday due to the Associated Press, there was a lot of dysfunction. Clearly, there were many internal things that I'm not going to ever just say or put in the media or anything, and that was one of the reasons I chose to make my decision. But now, fast forward to today, I don't look like the crazy one. I don't look like the guy or the quitter or whatever the media wanted to call me. Like I knew what was going on, and I just decided to I'm not built for this. I don't want to deal with that. I want to play basketball, have fun, and enjoy doing it. Obviously, Harden is too savvy to get into details of the dysfunction he saw in Brooklyn, but clearly he feels vindicated. Back on Wilson. Back on you, or I'll take him.
Sure, why not?
Go ahead.
Yeah. How about that? Yeah. Everyone's favorite most skilled guard ever strikes again. Dysfunction is dysfunction. Yeah. And I'm just interested to see how long it lasts in Dallas. It always starts out rosy, and then things go left. But yeah, I'm not mad at James for that. I'm happy he came out and said it. No, he doesn't look crazy, because time went by, and some things don't change. Death, taxes, and flat Earth and a flat Earth. I can't get mad at somebody for seeing it early and being like, I don't need to sit through. I don't need to watch the end of this. I really can't get mad at him. Shout out to James.
Xavier.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, until people start naming exactly what was going on, it's all a bunch of he say, she say to me at this point. Although I do believe that, I guess because it sounds like he's trying to say he's not surprised that KD and Kyrie left. So to me, it made it sound like he's trying to blame it more so on the franchise than the flat Earth guy. But it could be that he's just trying to keep things, under wraps as much as possible. Because I don't think that the Brooklyn Nets were having any type of front office issues before the three of them got there. So I would be surprised to think that all of a sudden they decided to just go crazy now that you guys are here. I think honestly it was because they gave them a lot of control, is what started most of it. And then by the time James got there and he saw flat Earth was, like you said, doing flat Earth things, he was like, yeah, I ain't about this life. I don't need to be around him. Like you said, just want to hoop and play basketball. And I think he was more, like you said, I think he had the wherewithal to get out early. And I think KD is very, at times it's weird because at times I feel like he talked too much, and then at times I feel like he don't talk enough. And I feel like he was just kind of playing the back rows, like it is what it is. But then I think once Kyrie got, he was like, well, I ain't got nobody left, so I might as well try to leave too. So I'm not surprised that they're all coming out and saying things now that they're no longer there. But at the same time, what was the excuse, James, when you forced your way out of the Houston Rockets? So I just think at the same time, you still got a pattern behind you as well. But it is what it is. It's a whole brand new era, starting over all over again for all of them at different places, as well as a net organization. So I'm just interested to see how everything works out for the different places that they've gone to. And I'm probably most interested to see what happens in Dallas because, like I said, I just think the dynamic of Mark Cuban and Kyrie Irving together is going to be funny. I don't know.
Yeah, you know who he's talking about. I'd say you so nice.
I'm just saying, like, because he felt like he tried to throw all of them in there. I was like, you trying to?
That was the article of the author. His quote was like, "It was just dysfunction," and we all know what that is. And that's like, for one instance, when them folks ran up on the Capitol, and he talking about I can't come to work and play ball because I'm heartbroken over what happened at the Capitol. I know James is looking at that like, please, are you what? It ain't got nothing to do with us, man. Like, what? You see what I'm saying? So it's a little situation and probably more stuff than we know behind the scenes.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, it was just like, dog, what are we doing here? And then keep in mind, Nash was the coach at the time. And he was pretty much a lame duck coach. So ain't no telling what he was allowing to try to cater. It was just too much catering. And one thing I've learned about KD, just watching him closely, going back to Golden State, that man don't like confrontation. He do not like having those uncomfortable conversations. And you just gotta accept he ain't that type of leader, man. He like to lead by example, hope stuff just go along with the flow. But when you the franchise guy, you gotta pull dudes, you gotta get strong. You gotta say what it is. And he never would do that. So I could see James like looking at who y'all call flat earth, like, yo, this dude tripping. Like, yo, this your man. It's like, what you gonna do? It'll be all right. He like, nah. I can literally see them that happening all the time. Like, you ain't gonna check your mind? No, James, it'll be all right. You know, all right, nah, no, I'm out. I ain't signed up for this. I got myself fat, out of shape, took all this abuse and left Houston. You know what I'm saying? Was clubbing crazy, ain't even work out to come here, try to win and deal with this. No, I'm good, dog. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it was. So he did it again, went with Maury, man. You know what I'm saying? So look, I apologize to him on this because I was looking at him crazy. Like, are you serious at first? Like, he still should have been professional. Who it just went about it, be like, yo, just get me out of here. Me and him don't get along. Just get me out of here. The way he went about it was wrong. But I got apologize because now, yeah, he's right. He's vindicated because that's craziness. And what's blowing me is I don't understand why he pretty much saying that he ain't getting into details, but he's saying it. And all these other so-called players, former players, are just getting behind Kyrie like he's being like the heat's on him for no reason. It's like, yo, are y'all watching the same thing we watching?
Please get Jay Will because he drives me insane. He is like Kyrie's biggest cheerleader.
Like, come on, man. And Kev, like, remember when when Draymond went off on him on the bench when he tried to take the last shot and KD was clapping and yeah, Draymond was screaming on him. KD ain't really saying that. He just took it. That told me all I needed to know right there because no man worth his soul about to get screamed on. Like, it'd have been something right there. We'd have went at it. You see what I'm saying? What KD do? He went in his shell. He tried to finish out the season. He did. And from that moment on, he did. I could see that happening in Brooklyn, man. Like, even now, he got traded quietly to Phoenix and stuff like that. It's just in team sports, man. You gotta have you if you the guy, you gotta speak up sometimes. You just have to. You gotta have those uncomfortable conversations. He should have checked Kyrie a long time ago. And then if Kyrie wanted to roll, then go, dog. Go play somewhere else. But this is how we gotta do it because I'm trying to win. We ain't got time for your BS, man. So look, Flat Earth and Dallas, what they gotta do is get the chemistry right. But I expect him to be on his best behavior because he ain't got no more lifelines. If it don't work with Mark Cuban, who else gonna put up with that? I'm just keeping it real. Whatever owner gonna put up with that. So this is it, man. He gonna have to make it work. So we're gonna see how it goes. But yeah, James, being real, you was right. I don't blame you, dog. Woof. Ain't no telling what other stuff happened. On the NFL side, we get out one more after that, we'll get out of here. Y'all favorite quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. We said Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter don't know shit about me. Super Sunday Splash reports including an item from Ian Rappaport of NFL Media that Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers planned to start his voluntary solitary confinement on Monday. It didn't happen, as evidenced by the fact that Rodgers was in the daylight on Tuesday doing his weekly paid spot with Pat McAfee and former Green Bay teammate A.J. Hawk. Rodgers took some time to call out those who have, in his view, reported erroneous facts about him. Quote, there's an inner circle, and in my inner circle, nobody talks to Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter or to any of those people. Rodgers said it. Just start with the fake news. I speak for myself, and I will continue to do that. I have no problem with Ian Rappaport or Schefter. I think they're really good at their jobs. When it comes to me, they don't know shit. They really don't. They don't have people in my inner circle who are sources. I can promise you that. Anybody who would talk to them is not in my inner circle. It's that simple. So I've had this plan on the books for 4 months. For the same time, when someone like that goes on and says something that's not true, it creates a story that's bullshit. Thoughts? I'll tell you.
I mean, don't he already want us to know his every move anyway? So, like, isn't this just like extra help? Like, I don't understand what the issue is. It's like, I don't know. I'm tired. I'm honestly getting really tired of Aaron Rodgers, to be completely honest. Go on a retreat. Don't go on a retreat. Go to the moon. Don't go to the moon. Figure out if you're retiring. Don't retire. Get paid. Don't get paid. I don't know at this point. Like, if it ain't got nothing to do with him playing football, like, I am tired of it. But at the same time, I get it. If that's, granted, I don't know. We always talk about media people having sources, and we never know who these sources are. So, I mean, I understand maybe he was just upset and fed up that people are, speculating things that he's supposed to do and he's not doing, and he just took a stand, and that's great for him. But at this point, it's just another story about Aaron Rodgers that I don't care about if he's not playing football. That's the only thing that's irritating to me. It's like, I get it. Yeah, you're upset and you want to set the record straight. Cool. But had we not had all these, like, we shouldn't even know about this darkness retreat in the first place. Like, who cares? But we know about it, so now we need to know when it starts and when it ends. All because we need you to make a decision if you're going to play next year or not, so your organization can figure out what they're going to do. That's where it comes down to, and that's all I really care about. So, I mean, I guess he's upset, but he'll talk about it on Pat McAfee when he gets out of his darkness retreat, I guess.
Well,
I'm about to say, Rappaport and Schefter be on McAfee's show too, so I don't know what to tell you, Aaron.
McAfee's the insider.
I also, man, could be. Also, just find your new team. Like, the only thing I took from all this is that the one thing he didn't refute was that Green Bay is actively over you. Like, for a while there, you had Green Bay over the barrel, and it was Green Bay waiting to see what you're gonna do, and like doing all that cost them Devontae Adams. It looked like this year they're not about to. Like, this year they're good off it. I'm just trying to see where they trade him to. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Darkness Retreat, the sources on it. I don't know what that guy. He might have forgot that he told one of them. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams across sports that's tired of these dudes. But keep it up. Keep it up. Player empowerment about to be short-lived. Last question, man. This is kind of serious. Zion Williamson re-aggravated his hamstring injury and is out for weeks after All-Star break. Williamson will be out that long after re-aggravating his hamstring that has had him sidelined since January 2nd. GM David Griffin told reporters Sunday before the Pelicans took the court. While he did not put a hard and fast timeline on it, he said it will be weeks before he returns, and Zion will be reevaluated after the All-Star break. Obviously, when healthy, Zion has played at an All-NBA level, averaging 26 points a game on 60% shooting. Question to you guys is, if you're in the front office, do you start having some tough conversations regarding the direction of the franchise and Zion being a part of it? Wilson.
I mean, I think you have to, right? You're not doing your job if you don't at least entertain those conversations. I think along with having those conversations, you got to try to figure out if whatever's going on with him physically, if there's any solution you guys can come to. If there's not, then, that's a part of those discussions as well. The biggest thing for him is just getting him on the court consistently. It's not anything else. It's just, can we get you on the court and keep you on the court? Like, when you're on the court, there's no one on this earth that could deny he wasn't worth the selection, or the investment, what have you. It's just he's never there long enough. So that's the issue. But yeah, all things are on the table at this point. You got to try to see if you can come up with a resolution to get him on the court, because otherwise it just becomes a sunken investment. And if it's something where you say you hang on to it for 3-4 more years and you never get to the root of it, that's 4 years with you, because you're paying him what you're paying him and he's not healthy. You're probably not able to get to optimize what your team could be. So yeah, discussions have to be had.
I'll tell you.
They should have had these discussions before they signed this 5-year rookie max contract that we all talked about in the offseason in the summer. Should they have done it? And I mean, like you said, when he's on the court, he's amazing, but he can't stay on the court. So my thing is, you have to weigh your pros and cons against it. Is it worth the money when half the time he's not going to be there? Like, as great as he is, and it's not like it's been like very seldom. It's like every year, and it's always something else. Because I don't even think last year was his hamstring. I think it was like a knee or something last year. So it's like, I would be very concerned. Making $193 million, they said it could get raised to $231 million if he makes All NBA team, or win a major award. Which, I mean, and now it doesn't look like it because he's not on the court to play. So I definitely think they need to have conversations. I'm getting more and more to the point where, like, it's really getting like to the point where, like, I don't think he'll last in league just because he can't stay healthy. Like, he's only getting older. Father time is only getting closer to you. And at the age he's at now, he's having injury after injury, and it's different injuries, and it's injuries that are causing him to be out for long periods of time. I would be very concerned if I was them. Hopefully it doesn't, because he's a great talent, and I don't want him to have that type of legacy as far as him being an NBA player. But it's getting a scary time where they need to start thinking about what they're going to do, or trying to figure out what the issue is as why he's, I mean, for lack of a better term, become so injury prone.
Yeah, and they also need to do some work with them as far as their medical and training staff. Because it's not just Zion. Anthony Davis went the same way. You see what I'm saying? Like, they can't catch a break in New Orleans with their superstar, their franchise player being just injured. So that's on one hand. I'm with y'all. You got to have that conversation, man. Like, it's a lot of money tied up into him, a lot of years tied up into him, and you can't hold the franchise hostage, waiting on him to get healthy, man. You've done that for a couple of years already. This is supposed to be the year, and they got off to a strong start. Him, PJ, you got Ingram, Valanciunas, Herb Jones. You got them all. You got like nice mob that was built around him to rumble. And now you out for weeks, and who's to say then he'll be healthy? You know what I'm saying? Because, like, you talking about weeks at a time. We in February, though. Playoffs start. Playoffs start like 2 months. So how many weeks you talking? You know what I'm saying? Like 4 to 6. And even if he do come back, April sometime, like, how are you just gonna throw him in the playoff fire? You asking for him to get injured again, possibly, and won't be ready for the start of the next season, though. Like, something got to give, man. Like, that's why I always just refute this bigger, stronger crap, because it ain't adding up. How you got more resources, more nutrition, about like studies, data, everything. Everything's supposed to be more advanced, but y'all hurt more than ever before, though. Like, it makes no sense. And he's not the first explosive athlete ever. Charles Barkley was pretty damn close, and he was playing at 300, and he was on the floor, and he got on the court, but he got in better shape, and he wasn't privy to none of the resources that's going on that they have, man. So, like, I love seeing him play, man. Like, he's great to watch, man, but it just sucked, man. It sucked. And it's enough blame to go around him. The franchise got to look at it, because now you got to look at your staff, dog. Like, are these one of these teams that, I know Wilson always laugh at, got these soccer staffs make a decision for basketball players? using soccer data to determine like how to rehab players and treat players? I hope not, guys. I'm gonna try to look it up just to see. If it is, I'm like, man, y'all gotta cut that out. It's a growing trend of these dudes just repeat injuries, man. So, but man, we'll see, man. But yeah, they definitely gotta sit in the room and see where they want to go moving forward.
Yeah, like you both said, it's at least on the table because it's tough. It's at least on the table. All those things on the table. And yeah, y'all got to stop this cross sport thing. It's stupid. It's not smart. It's just dumb. It's just very, very dumb.
Only basketball doing it.
Nah, football does it with hockey. They have hockey. Yeah. No, some football. Yeah. It's not just basketball. Football's very special too. Because all those things are alike in that they're professional sports. We want to thank y'all for tuning in this week. We'll see y'all next week. As always, don't forget, you can just check our channel anytime. However, Focus TV Wednesday mornings about 9:30 a.m. It's on our Roku channel, or you have a Roku television device. All you have to do is in the search box type in the Focus TV, double tap OK, and you added the channel. Or you can watch on DC TV on Fridays at 10 p.m., Saturdays at 4:30 p.m. again on DC TV. If you're outside the area, you can just watch DC TV on your computer. Just type in dctv.org and you can choose from the 3 channels, look at the schedule, and see where our show airs. But y'all have a good week. We'll see you soon.